Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Insider Power Hour. I'm filling in for Lisa this morning, who's on vacation. So I'm really happy to be doing this for the first time, and hopefully those who can't join can catch the recording at a later time. And then those who are on, please feel free to pop back in about 20 minutes, and then we can stop recording and then just have a discussion for another half hour or so. I'm Rupali. If I haven't worked with you yet, I am a functional medicine certified health coach. I'm also a certified personal trainer, and as of this week, also a certified group fitness instructor. And I'm actually going for a few more exercise related certifications soon, which I'm very excited about. So just to go over some, let's see, to go over some ground rules. Group visits provide an opportunity for everyone to pop in and get time with Lisa or myself, and I believe at some point Abby, the nutritionist, and really use this time as a moment to ask us questions, just go through anything that you have on your mind, if it's based on the specific topic for today or anything else that comes up. I will do about 20 minutes of a lecture and then record that piece that will be found in the solutions library. And then we will do a Q&A after and an open forum. And just a reminder that participation is optional. Really feel free to share what you're comfortable sharing, and we can go from there. And just the general rules, I'm not going to read everything here, but really, I'm a lifelong learner. I gather those of you who are on this journey are also lifelong learners who want to get to the root cause of whatever you're working on. So it's always, kind of a good idea to go in with a curious mind, and really just ask questions along the way. And, just think in terms of shades of gray. And then just one last thing, this is all private information. The recording is just the lecture, and then anything that is shared by the group after the fact, it will be completely confidential. Okay, and I'm just going to switch over to my other presentation. Hold, please. I'm just going to stop recording for 1 second. Okay, today is a discussion on how to stop negative self-talk and self-sabotage. This is something that I personally have struggled with on my own health journey, and even as a health coach, just constantly aware, not only with myself, but with my sessions with clients, and how we talk to ourselves really can affect our health and our health journey. And then, how that self-talk might stop or inhibit us from making progress, which, I can share examples as we go through the lecture. Let me click next. So what is negative self-talk? This is really just your inner dialogue, and some of us might not even be aware that we do this, because you have thousands and thousands of thoughts in a day, and some of them are just random. Some of them really are just minuscule little things, but a lot of times it's how we talk to ourselves. If you're at work and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I did that. Or, how we react towards other people, and how we create those conversations in our head in a negative way that can really inhibit you from making progress, and how it affects your relationships, and how it can affect your health journey and stop you from really, hitting small goals and larger goals. And really, this isn't like with anything else, it's a journey. There is no hard and fast rule. It's all about making little tiny steps every day, in maybe catching yourself if you happen to get down on yourself for something that happened, and maybe just reframing. And we'll go through that in a little bit. So just some examples. I'm sure we all have our little arsenal of things that go through our head throughout the course of the day. And just some of these things is, I'm too old. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. People don't like me. These are just, millions of things that we tell ourselves probably since we were young and growing up, and the things that we have gone through, whether they're larger traumas or smaller traumas, but it's a trauma nonetheless. And these are just kind of tools that we've all kind of, defensive mechanisms that we've developed over our journeys, and just kind of learned to talk to ourselves this way, which, what I like to say is, would you want your child to talk that way? Or would you talk to someone else? If your best friend came to you with, an issue, would you say to them, well, you're too stupid, you're not going to figure it out? No. So, why would we talk to ourselves this way? And again, I'm also guilty of it too. We all have bad days, and we all have those moments that, just overwhelm us. So completely understand. So, this is a kind of about positive reframing versus negative self-talk. And, how do you view the world in general? Is it a half full or half empty point of view? And, this is something that is cliche, but, I feel that it's so meaningful in how we look at ourselves and how we view the world. And especially after having, the last 18, 19 months that we've had in our world, and, what were the positive impacts that came from it? I don't like to be, positive Polly all the time, and it's almost impossible to be that way. But I tend to believe that, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And does that reframe help you in kind of shifting your perspective on, your car breaks down? Okay, those sorts of things happen on a daily basis, but when they become that inner dialogue of, I can't do this and I'm not smart, those sorts of things, how can we reframe that language and stop ourselves in our track and put a positive spin on things? So what is positive thinking? It absolutely isn't putting your head down and ignoring everything on the planet that's negative. However, it's just a different perspective on, okay, tragedy happens every day, and there are sad things that happen every day. And yes, you could still feel it and process it, but how do we process those unpleasant situations? Are we the type that completely break down and we lose days and hours and, end up in that vortex of, watching the news and that sort of thing? And I have absolutely been guilty of this when there have been major catastrophes in our world, and just going into that, the web of stories and news articles and Facebook groups and all of that thing. And, recognizing how does that affect me? And, on a personal level, I really have a difficult time processing comments on Facebook, for example. So I just avoid them. I know it never ends up being a good thing for me, and it does affect my thinking process and my outlook. So I just decided, in the past few years, especially in the past year and a half, where, everyone is home, everyone is on their phones, and it's kind of become this thing where just posting negative things. And it's just maybe putting a spin that, okay, what is the good that can come out of this? So some benefits of positive thinking. Everyone's on a different part of their journey here in terms of, where you are and diving into health issues. But I think what's wonderful about functional medicine and what has changed for me is really seeing those connections between mind and body, mind, spirit, and body. And, where does sickness come from? Sometimes it is your thoughts and it's your gut, and it could be, we're talking chronic issues, not so much acute, but, how does your mindset affect, your health. So, just reading through a few things that it can decrease rates of depression, lower levels of stress, cardiovascular health, and reduce risk of death. And that might also go hand in hand with movement. And, we're not talking running marathons, but just, if it was just 5 to 10 minutes of walking outside in the sun for a day, and maybe seeing how that makes you feel. Any differences that you see of like just getting some sunshine, eating lunch outside, just moving around a little bit. And maybe not having headphones on and listening to the birds. These are all little things that aren't difficult to do. It's just being aware of making time for them. And I think one of the biggest things is the last point is coping skills. Going through traumatic and stressful events, and how do we cope with it? And, some people go inward. Some people might have addiction issues. Some people have a therapist. Some people are lucky enough to have a really great social circle and friends, but it's how do we process bad news, and what are some positive ways to do it? And is it journaling? Whatever works for you. There's definitely studies, and I'd be happy to share studies on how this affects your health in a positive way. So identifying negative thinking, really these are kind of, filtering, personalizing, catastrophizing, which I always have a hard time saying, and polarizing. So for example, personalizing, say you're working in the office and some coworkers are going out to lunch and they didn't ask you to go. And I actually used to be one of these people that would say, well, why didn't they ask me? Don't they like me? Did I do something wrong? Maybe they don't like how I look. It would be this storytelling in my head that really would inhibit me from just saying, oh, hey, where are you guys going? Do you think next time I could join? Or it sounds like a fun time. It's all about how you take in information. And, a lot of times it's not necessarily people out to get you, but personalizing is one of those things where, you take everything personally and you think that people might be out to get you. Polarizing being, that kind of black and white thinking that there is only one, options A and B, and then nothing in the middle, that, oh, everyone hates me, versus, maybe they just don't know me. Maybe if they got to know me a little bit, they'd like me. And even if they don't, okay, I'll move on. They're not my cup of tea. So that sort of thing. And then just catching yourself in where you are in your thought process. Just some ideas to help with trying to make some more positive thoughts. Start small, start in one area. It can always be overwhelming going through and trying to change every aspect of your life, which, as you know, on a functional medicine journey, it takes time. And it's looking at one area at a time, and then making the connections that, oh, wow, I started waking up at 5:30 instead of 6. And it's great because I get that extra half hour to journal or enjoy my coffee on the deck, or, play with my dog, or just little things that you might know that bring you that little joy throughout the day. Checking yourself, you could be in the middle of a meeting and your mind starts wandering into, some negative areas. And it's like, okay, stop, recognize it. And then how do you change that course without getting into that vortex that, I'm sure we've all kind of been in, of just, negative, negative, negative. The healthier lifestyle, I can attest to that on a personal level. I was formerly obese. I was 80 pounds heavier at one point. And I will say it was probably one of the lowest points of my life, because my physical health and inability to do things affected how I treated other people, how I treated myself. And just starting little by little with changes in my food, changes in movement, changes in my attitude, opening myself up to friends and relationships that I had kind of shunned for a long time because I didn't feel good about myself. And going in slowly. Humor is actually one of my top character strengths, and that's something that I always carry with me. And it could be as silly as watching silly videos on YouTube or Instagram and just having a laugh. I do this now if I'm having a particularly rough day. I will watch a show with my kids, and guess what? I've forgotten about what I was thinking about within 22 minutes because we'll watch a funny, silly show, and it just makes all the difference. And really, if you're able to surround yourself with more positive people, and being that a lot of us are still virtual and we might not be seeing people as much, if there's any groups that you could join online, or groups that meet outside, or things that still practice social distancing if you're not comfortable really getting out there again, or joining a knitting club. There's so many things that it doesn't have to look one way. And it's what works for you and the things that you enjoy and the hobbies that you like. And practicing positive self-talk, which I think the next slide goes into how do we reframe. So just an example, on the left are the negative self-talk things that we say to ourselves. And on the right are some positive things that, some potential reframes. So I've never done it before. I'm in the situation a lot where I used to get thrown into things at my old job, and it was literally sink or swim. And I would have a moment of panic and then say, you know what's the worst that can happen? And I say to myself all the time, it's an opportunity to learn something new. I don't view bad moments and mistakes as the worst thing in the world. I try to really look at, okay, what did I learn from this, and how can I not do this again, or how will it change, the next decision I make. It's too complicated. Every situation can be broken down. And whether it's journaling or talking it out or whatever works, try looking at it from a different angle. Changing your perspective on something difficult can really make a huge difference. I was training for a 10K, for example, a couple of years ago, and the idea of going from couch to 10K, which is the literal app that I used, was so overwhelming. But this app had broken it down to weeks, and within the week, every 2 days, you increased your running time just a little bit. And guess what? It worked. But that this could be said for anything, a complicated task at work, how can you break it down and maybe ask for help and see if there's ways to delegate the work. Let's see. Let's take a chance. Some people are afraid of change, and change is difficult. There's a lot of fear around change and how it can affect your life, and the fear of failure. Those are huge things that we all tackle from here and there. But, is there a way to look at it like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? That's an exercise that a lot of therapists and coaches use is, write out what is the worst that could possibly happen if you decide to apply for a new job, or join a new group, outside of work, or, anything that really is on your goal list. And again, it comes down to practicing every day. It's not about going 0 to 60 within a week. It's about going 0 to 60 through the course of your life. And then what is the next goal after that? And it's learning as you go. So, really the negative outlook, while, some might be more negative than others, and it doesn't just change overnight, but it can change, maybe before going to bed. I happen to be one of those people that, gets that monkey mind right before bed, and all the things that I need to do and have to do and not sure if I can do. And then it's just a race. And I practice the box breathing, which is, breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out through your mouth for 4 seconds, pausing for 4 seconds, and then restarting again. And not only does that get my heart rate down, it helps me kind of focus on the the 4 seconds, and then I'll either journal on my phone or in an actual physical journal and just write out what I'm thankful for that day. And honestly, it could be as simple as, I liked my hair today. I liked the conversation that I had with my boss. I had a really fun dinner with my family. It could be this. And for me, sometimes it's as simple as, I love rubbing my dog's belly. Like, those are really little things that can help you kind of start shifting your perspective into a positive way. So this kind of leads us into self-sabotage. So what is self-sabotage? Maybe some of us are aware that we do it. Some of us might not even realize it. It's really just behaviors and thoughts that stop you from accomplishing your goals. So why do we do it? Okay, so, first let me give an example. Weight loss is a big thing for a lot of people. And I personally could attest to this, having gone through so many diets in my life, because I was always approaching it from a, constrictive way, that diets meant I can't eat XYZ, rather than looking at, watching what I eat means I get to eat ABC and limit XYZ. So focusing more on the healthier foods and saying, you know what, it doesn't mean I can never have chocolate or ice cream again, but instead of the giant bowl, I'll have a smaller serving on a weekend, or having that glass of wine on the weekend. But what I had done in those days was, I would be good all week, Monday through Friday, and then the weekend would come and it would be a free-for-all, because I felt that I deserved all the treats because I worked so hard. And in essence, I was self-sabotaging all the work that I'd put in, for the 5 days, and would basically blow it all up within, Saturday and Sunday, and then kind of really not getting to my goals. So really, that's kind of an example of it and why we do it. The 3 main reasons would be, faulty thinking, fear of intimacy or fear of rejection, and procrastination and avoidance. And we'll go into that on the next slide. Faulty thinking is really trying to make a decision when you're at your best, which could be well rested, that you ate, you're in a decent mood. A lot of times we can make decisions very quickly when we're upset and angry, and it's like, I'm going to quit my job. I hate my boss. I'm never talking to that friend again, that sort of thing. But this is really about taking a step back, not reacting right away, and then kind of weighing out pros and cons and saying, okay, if I did this, what would it mean? It's really just taking a moment and recognizing, okay, are these really my thoughts? Do I really feel this way? And let me take a few minutes or a day or a week to sit on a decision. The fear of intimacy or fear of rejection, this could be a whole other topic and main, lecture or, seminar on just confronting your thoughts. A lot of times it's easy to kind of push things under the rug and not really face them. Either we're not ready or we're just too afraid to tackle that particular thing, whatever it is, if it's a relationship issue or food or health or children, work. And again, similar to the faulty thinking, it's taking time and recognizing where are those feelings coming from and talking it through. Procrastination and avoidance. This one is near and dear to my heart because I was a huge procrastinator in my youth, in college, in my life, really up until the last few years when I realized that tackling things up front made me much happier than putting them off. And again, that looks different for a lot of people. Some people work well under pressure and they like having that kind of looming deadline that I'm going to get this out last minute. And I can still tend to do that sometimes, but it's really kind of mapping things out. If it's writing a paper or a work project, it's okay, how do I break this down into palatable steps that I can kind of check off as I go. Other addictive behaviors, this could be a whole other larger topic and, you know, potentially going into therapy territory, but this is just more so about an education aspect of, you know, recognizing behaviors that we have. And addictive doesn't even necessarily mean, you know, alcohol or drug abuse. It could be food, it can be thoughts, it could be relationships. Um, you know, it's, you know, what is our story, that what is our role in the actions that happen? Are we the ones responsible behind it? Are we blaming other people? You know, it's very easy to kind of say, oh, you know, the world is against me and they don't want me to have these things. But it's really, again, like with everything else, taking a step back and looking at what control you have. You know, the only thing you can control are your actions. You cannot control other people's actions, and you can only control your reaction to those situations. This one is a tough one. I'm a formerly very reactive person, and it's very easy for me to shoot off a text if I'm upset. But I have learned over the years, and I think just getting older, take a minute. Sometimes people just aren't out to get you, and you know, the world isn't against me. So, you know, just kind of a quick take home message on all of this. There's so much value in rest and stress reduction that kind of drives everything. And, you know, that comes back to sleep, and sleep affects how you eat and how you feel and your mood, you know, your food choices through the day. And, you know, all of this kind of works hand in hand, and taking little steps, you know, where can you see in your day taking those breaks? You know, if you're on your computer all day, are you able to just take a break and rest your eyes, go outside, take a nap, you know, whatever that is. It's when you're in a rested, calm state, it's easier to think things through than when you're frazzled, distracted, and upset about something else. And oftentimes what I like to remind myself is when I do feel stressed or upset, I actually ask myself, how old do I feel right now? Do I feel like my current age, or do I feel like, you know, the 18-year-old me that's really ticked off about something that happened, you know, similar situation? And making a plan. This, as a health coach, this is really what I help people with, is mapping out your days, mapping out how do you get to your small goals through smaller action steps. It's, you know, you don't go from climbing a mountain from sitting on your couch. It's okay, then this needs a plan, and this needs an actionable thing that moves. It's the living, breathing plan that gets adjusted as you go. And really, this is asking for help, you know, whether it's working with Lisa or with Abby or myself, or if you have a community with your church group, or, you know, group of friends online or in person, you know, whatever that looks like for you. Sometimes talking things out really can help with the positive self-talk and seeing the world from someone else's eyes, and seeing a different perspective. And we are all here to help with whatever you are working through. And I just wanted to thank everyone for your time. I hope you found this beneficial, and I'm always here for a visit, and as are Lisa and Abby, whenever you want to reach out. Thank you.